My fellow citizens, I stand here today together with my two great friends to continue the definitive One Piece backstories tier list.
It's time for Chopper. His backstory was one of my favorites, but my concept fell after I watched it for the second time. Hiruluk had no reason to hide the fact that he was sick from Chopper. Him firing a shotgun near Chopper was a very absurd and unnecessary exaggeration by Oda.
It's tough. Rosinante throwing Law out of the window was another unnecessary exaggeration. The fact is that we need to leave our suspension of disbelief high to appreciate One Piece.
Apart from that, I think this story works with very interesting concepts, such as evil being a disease that was cured by the beauty of a cherry tree.
If the live action doesn't adapt the scene where Hiruluk gets naked, I'll cancel my Netflix subscription.
The one where he's hard?
Exactly, this scene.
I agree with Biden's criticism, but I really like Hiruluk as a character, so I'll put it in Tier B. It's time for Frank. His past is cool, but I believe he is very overshadowed by Robin's backstory.
Next up is Robin's past. Fuck Frank. Put him in D tier and let's discuss Robin.
For me, Robin's arc is the highest point of One Piece and where the most important plot is established, which is the Void Century and the tyranny of the world government. Next to that, Frank's story is nothing.
Hey, Frank's story is very important. We have the discussion about ancestral weapons and...
Screw Frank.
Yeah, screw Frank.
God forgive the foolishness of my friends. Frank's story is brilliant. His ships were responsible for Tom's death, and at the moment he felt most ashamed and denied his own creations, Tom punched him and told him to be proud of their ships no matter what happened. That said, screw Frank's story, B tier. Let's move on to Robin's story.
Let it be clear that I didn't cry watching her past.
Suck that, Barack. I won the bet.
Whatever. For me, the most beautiful scene in fiction is the scene with Robin shouting, "I want to live in Enie's lobby," but this scene only has the emotional impact it has thanks to Robin's backstory. She had every reason in the world for not wanting to live. Her life was full of tragedies and loneliness. Everyone saw her as a monster. Everyone who once loved her died. But there was something above all that. She would only bring misfortune to anyone who got close to her, as her friends would become targets of the world government, making her choose a path of solitude. And when she had all the reasons in the world to want to die, she screamed from the bottom of her heart that she wanted to live. That was beautiful.
I would say that aesthetics is precisely what inspires us to want to live. This scene is the very incarnation of beauty.
And this scene is followed by the crew declaring war on the world government. Not only did they say they were friends, those words could be empty, but when they show that they are willing to fight the greatest enemy in the world for their friend, it makes everything more intense.
Above all this, the Straw Hat's true adventure is Robin's adventure. Most of the crew have individual dreams: to be the best swordsman in the world, to find all blue, to make a map. I imagine all these dreams will connect in some way when they find the One Piece. However, Robin's objective, which is to study the Void Century, is directly related to the biggest plots of this universe. While Luffy wants to find the One Piece just for the adventure, so much so that he even refused to find out what the treasure was when he had the opportunity. But Robin is looking for something that directly involves the world government, Imu, Gorosei, and One Piece itself.
I think it's unfair that she's in the same tier as Big Mom, so...
I agree with you, Trump. We have to create the SS tier. I'm going to raise Nami to that tier too. Now that's a good tier list.
Next up is Nolan's story. I think he can comfortably stay in tier A. It's a really good story.
Nolan's story is atheist fanfic.
Fuck you, Trump. This story is not an atheist's fanfic. The Japanese have a different religiosity than us. While Westerners have a single religion, monotheistic and sectarian, the Japanese embrace several ancient religions and traditions, but without idolizing one in particular. Nolan's story is not about completely denying religiosity, but about not placing a god as more sacred than human life, which is something natural for the Japanese public.
I found it interesting that this is a story about a tribal society that came into contact with more advanced technology and was cured of a disease, while contact between indigenous people and Europeans had the opposite result. The extermination of the indigenous people happened due to diseases that they had no immunity to that the Europeans brought.
If the indigenous people did not want to be eliminated, they should have built a wall.
Let's talk about theories. You noticed that Wano is an isolationist country, but it awaited the return of Joy Boy just as Shandora was isolationist. But always rang a bell that attracted Noland, who saved those people. I believe the theory that Noland was an incarnation of Joy Boy because he was able to hear that bell in the middle of a storm, and the bell was on a poneglyph. Just as the people of Wano must have become isolationists because they guarded the Pluton weapon, the Shandorians had to become isolationists because they guarded the location of the Poseidon weapon. But at the same time, they continued to ring the bell because they wanted to attract one specific person, the Joy Boy's successor.
Hey, I have a theory too. I believe that Mary Joa's treasure is something capable of controlling humanity's memories. Because think, how could they erase a century of history without controlling memories? Even destroying all historical records, it would be impossible to stop the oral tradition from continuing. This also explains why the science of the world regressed. It was because memories were erased. I bet that the D-Clan is just a group of people who resisted this alteration of memories and wrote stories in poneglyphs, which is why they are so feared by the celestial dragons, because they are immune to the weapon that Mary Joa possesses.
What does this have to do with Nolan's story?
The people of Shandora had a tradition of ringing the bell for the souls of ancestors to return. My theory is that the original tradition was to ring the bell so that Joy Boy's soul would return to the island. That is, his incarnation, because Joy Boy's heir, Luffy, needed to see the poneglyph that was in that bell. But when the memories were erased in the Void Century, the people of Shandora got confused and began to think they were ringing the bell for the souls of their ancestors to return to the island.
I don't understand a damn thing what you're talking about.
That's why you have to watch One Piece straight, not just the best episodes.
I already said that I will watch the live action. I don't have the patience to watch 1,000 episodes. Put it on tier A and let's end the video here because I want to eat spicy tacos.